Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. Join us for the latest in news, views, and conversation with community leaders. The Pulse of Spokane is brought to you in part by Homes for You, Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Firefighters Local 29. Now, put your finger on the Pulse of Spokane.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. You know, it's an exciting time for our region, summer, as well as people are at the lakes, enjoying all the things that we have to offer in the region. But there's also exciting things happening at the Spokane County Library, and we're here at the North Spokane Library branch, enjoying all that they have to offer this summer and having our Pulse program here this week. So we're going to be joined by Patrick Roewe. He's the Executive Director of the Spokane County Library District, and he's going to talk to us about their summer programming and how you balance the library with its history and the new age of technology. And then we're joined with Katrina Solum from GraceSun Foundation. They have a really unique mission where they focus on young girls and housing. And we're going to want to share that story with you when we come back. And then we end the program today with Bindi Tilbury. She's the Executive Director at the Jonah Project, and they have an exciting event coming up on July 25th. You're going to want to hear about it. Stay with us on The Pulse.
Levi Hutton was one of the region's most compassionate visionaries. Levi made a fortune in the Idaho silver mines. He took that wealth and fulfilled a dream of his, and that was to build a children's orphanage to serve underprivileged youth. He built the Hutton Settlement in 1919, and he also invested so that the mission could outlive him.
Come join us July 19th and 20th to help us celebrate 100 years at the Hutton Settlement. Here's the schedule of activities. So Patrick Roewe is joining us now, and Patrick, you're the Executive Director for the Spokane County Library District.
Correct, yeah.
So within that library district, how many libraries are operating?
Sure. By the way, thanks for being here. Thanks for being at the North
Yes.
Spokane Library. We're really happy to have you here.
course.
There are 11 libraries in the Spokane County Library District. We serve the entirety of Spokane County, with the exception of the city of Spokane, which has its own library system,
Okay.
as does the city of Liberty Lake. But we are everywhere else, from Deer Park in the north to Airway Heights and Cheney and Medical Lake in the West Plains, and all the way down to Fairfield in the south, and of course Spokane Valley as well. So
Sure. So you're really spanning a wide range of
we've got
land
about
here in the region.
1,700 square miles of service area to cover.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And you know, we were talking before we went on air on there's so much history for a library in the sense that it revolves around books.
Mhm.
But as we're expanding and growing in this new age of technology, how do you balance and implement that with what the library is known for, you know, reading and books? I would imagine it's hard to balance that, especially with the new generation that is so accustomed to technology and they've grown up around technology. How do you balance that at the library?
Sure, great question. You know, libraries, just like any other industry, are subject to disruption, you
Sure.
know, and having to sort of adjust and evolve. So we've really kind of taken it back to the basics, and we talk about our main product is knowledge, not so much books anymore, right? So, and that knowledge can certainly be delivered via book, or kind of our tried and true, one of our core services.
Sure.
But we're also expanded that into, you know, we have a robust suite of digital services. You can download books, audiobooks, music and movies, all from the comfort of your own house. We've got a whole bunch of educational programs, things like STEM education based or early learning that really kind of try to expand that learning into a interactive experience as well.
Sure. And you know, just looking around the library, obviously, you know, there's a lot of books behind us, but as I was roaming, I saw Civic Lab, and there's all sorts of little corners and setups throughout the library that don't necessarily revolve just around books
Right.
and checking out a book. And you know, I have to say, when I thought that we were, you know, going to come to the library for the Pulse today, I wasn't expecting it to be very busy.
Right.
But I am very impressed to see that it's booming with activity behind us. There's people all throughout the library. And you mentioned actually that 1.3 million people visited the libraries last year.
Correct, yeah. So 1.3 million for the entire district. We see about 1,000 people a day here at the North Spokane Library. So yeah, you know, libraries are definitely still a robustly used community resource.
Absolutely. And talk to us a little bit about some of the exciting things that you guys have going on this summer. Obviously, your summer reading camp is in full swing. And so tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, so we have summer reading is sort of one of our favorite time of the year, right? So you know, the kids are out, families looking for things to do with their kids that kind of keep them focused on learning and education, so they don't experience that summer slide.
Right.
So one of our brand new kind of debuting things is the Camp Read-A-Rama here we have at the North Spokane Library, where it's sort of that half day camp model you experience kind of throughout throughout the community, but it's based on take a theme from a book and then incorporate learning activities. So this is the food week.
Okay.
So kids are learning about what foods people eat around the country, learning to do some simple mug meals. They got one of the recent graduates from the culinary program at Spokane Community College is in there right now, teaching them how to do some cooking. So, so really fun experience. This is our third week of it. It's been a really strong success. We're looking forward to doing more of it next year.
That's awesome.
And the demand's been really high too. It's been booked out. So
sure, that's great. And one of the things too that you guys have coming up is a big levy that's going to be on August 6th. Tell us about that. What does that entail? Give us kind of the details.
Sure. So we have a maintenance operations levy coming on the August 6th primary ballot.
Okay.
And it's basically focused on the areas of just maintaining current library services at the level, with some additional expansions like the digital expansion we were talking about earlier. So, recognizing we've seen about over the last 10 years, almost 2,700% growth in the use of our digital resources.
Wow.
So we need to put a little more focus financially on growing that collection. And recognizing those 1,700 square miles we talked about, we're looking to upgrade kind of our mobile library services. So kind of the return of the bookmobile.
Sure.
Right? But books certainly, but also those educational experiences like you could bring, virtual reality systems out there, or 3D printing. So looking at ways to kind of bring kind of those learning experiences out to those farther flung corners where they can't get really easily to the library.
Sure, and it's so vital as Spokane is growing so much and expanding so much, specifically in the last 10 years. Our city's really booming.
Right.
So it's important that we're experiencing and representing that growth here at the library as well.
And we want to keep pace with that growth as well. So it's asking the voters to restore our levy rate, which is our primary taxing base, from 7 cents total, from 43 to 50 cents per $1,000 assessed evaluation. And that would cover the entirety of the district and have us well suited and well covered to meet both current financial needs surrounding the district and in the future as well.
I love it. And what else do you guys have going on this summer? I'm sure the reading camp isn't all that's taking place here in the next couple months.
Like I said, our programs are almost too numerable. We could spend hours talking about our summer programs here, but we try to have something for everyone, for all ages and stages of life. So whether you're kind of a school age kid looking for that half day camp experience, or you're just looking to bring your toddlers to a story time to help them get kindergarten ready. We even have stuff for adults too, stuff in gardening and things like that. So so really, if you check out our website, SCLD.org, and you'll find our Engage magazine both online and on the shelves of the library. It'll give you a full suite of all of our summer programs going on.
I love it. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, yeah.
And the library is not dead. It is very much alive, and a lot of exciting things are happening this summer. I urge you to come check it out. We'll be right back on the Pulse of Spokane.
This is Bloomsday in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate, but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
I'm Nikki Butler, and I'm a regional manager for SDCU. My lunch buddy is Nicole.
I'm Brandy Schloss. I'm a regional manager at SDCU. My lunch buddy is Angelina. She's grown up with me. I've grown up with her. To see her graduate will be a lot of fun.
Brandy and I have been lunch buddies since the girls were in 2nd grade. It's great that SDCU provides me with the opportunity to be part of Reach for the Future. We are committed to the children. We're committed to our community. I'm Nikki.
I'm Brandy.
And SDCU is here for good.
Help your fathers and grandfathers. How many times have you seen them get a bigger workout just trying to get the equipment started? They crank, and never get started. We have a battery operated. You just throw that battery in, run it, pull the trigger, you're ready to roll. No workout, all fun, getting the garden done. Here at River Ridge Hardware, we want to help you make your dad's day and your grandfather's day. Neighbors helping neighbors at River Ridge Hardware.
All right, and we are back with Katrina Solum. And Katrina, you're the executive director at the GraceSon Housing Foundation.
Yes, that's right.
And I have to say, I've never heard of this before you and I chatted.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your mission and what you guys do.
Yeah, so I'm not actually surprised that you haven't heard about it, just because it's a really small foundation right now.
Okay.
The whole heart behind it is to work with young girls in the community that are teen moms.
Okay.
Generally, our goal age range is anywhere between 13 and 18 years old. And girls will come into the house either expecting to have a kiddo or they already have a couple of kiddos. And so our entire goal and mission and purpose is to make sure that they are safe, that they have stable housing, and that any of their needs that we can meet are met. So we make sure that there's food, or if they need clothing, anything like that is met when they come in, and then providing ongoing support. So case management, making sure they have identification, whatever that might look like as they're living in the house. And so that's kind of where we're at, and we're looking to expand a little bit, but I'm not surprised you haven't heard about us, actually.
Well, and I'm curious because you mentioned that they live in the house.
Yes.
So do you guys have a home that these girls are living in?
Correct. We do have currently just one safe house.
Okay.
And it provides housing for 3 girls and their kiddos, and then we have 2 house parents that live there full time.
Neat.
Yes.
Neat. So you have 3 girls currently?
Currently, we have 1 girl, actually, right now. We had one that just left the program not that long ago, and so we're hoping to fill that, but right now we just have 1 girl and her kiddo.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
And, you know, how do people fall into this foundation?
Yeah.
You know, if you're a young teen mom, maybe you just had a child, how would you, you know, come to meet the GraceSon Housing Foundation?
So a lot of it actually is through different partnerships. We partner with the local school district to kind of get our name out there a little bit. But then we're also building partnerships with like Catholic Charities, Lutheran Community Services. I've just reached out to SNAP. A lot of those organizations that are already established in the community that provide resources to get girls connected into housing. That's really how they come across it. And then what we find is that when girls come into the house, they frequently tell us, hey, we have a friend or I have a friend that really could use housing and benefit from this. And so a lot of it is word of mouth also.
And do you see, I mean, I know you're a new executive director.
Yeah, right.
This is your 4th week, right?
Right.
I think we were talking about
That's
before we went on air. But do you see that a lot of the girls that end up living with the foundation, are they there for just a temporary period of time? Are they staying there until their child's maybe so many years old? What is that kind of time frame look like?
Generally it's temporary. So
Okay.
what we find is that girls will transition into the house and they'll be there for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Actually, weeks is not accurate. And then they really work on establishing those connections with their families. And so they're able to transition into something that they're a little bit more familiar with, which
Sure.
is, if the family can be healthy for them, that's fantastic. We want to support that.
Sure.
So we have a couple of girls who've stayed for a couple of years, but generally it's a few months that they're with us.
That's amazing. And why did this opportunity in particular speak to you? You know, as you're looking for jobs, and what was it about this mission that just connected with you?
I have a heart for working with girls in the community. It's something that comes very natural to me, actually. And I'm not entirely positive why it's specific to girls in the community, but it is. And so to be in a place where we can work with girls who are very vulnerable, who are entering into a new phase of life where they're a mom, but they're also still a child or a teenager, and it's this really hard transition.
Sure.
It's an incredible opportunity to speak into their life and kind of help see or help show them what community looks like and what stable and secure housing looks like, and then to come alongside them and help them learn what good parenting skills might look like. And so I think just being able to play a part in that is an incredible opportunity, and that's really what spoke to me.
And are you a big sister at all?
I am.
You are?
Yes.
Do you think that some of that might have played into why this mission spoke to you?
Potentially.
You know, you play that big sister role as kind of like a mentor to younger girls.
Right.
I just wonder if that kind of
it very much
appeared in
could.
this mission too.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a couple of nephews, and they're like the dearest things to my heart. I love them so much. So that really could play a role, but
That's
I've
neat.
never thought about it like that.
It makes me curious.
Oh, hey, well,
I love it.
We can analyze it.
No, I love what you're doing, Katrina, and I'm really excited to see now that you're stepped into this new role, how much you guys grow.
Yes.
And the exciting things that you will do. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely,
And sharing
thank you.
this. And when we come back, we're going to be joined with a very special lady, Bindi Tilbury from the Jonah Project. They have some exciting things coming up. You're going to want to hear about it on the Pulse of Spokane.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
OBrien Logistics would like to invite you to try our local and regional transportation services. With Sprinter vans, lift gates, hot-shot flatbeds, and expedited services, our people are ready to step in and help with your transportation needs. Our services are 24/7, 365, and we are trained and prepared to handle air cargo and Canadian shipments. Give us a call at 208-305-2311 or visit our website at OBrienLogistics.net. That's OBRIEN Logistics.net.
Hey, welcome back on the Pulse of Spokane. We're here at the North Spokane Public Library, and there's a lot of activity happening behind us as you'll see people walking, checking out books, and enjoying all the technology they have to offer. But we are back with Bindi Tilbury from the Jonah Project. And Bindi, I have to say, I didn't know what the mission of the Jonah Project was before you and I started chatting, but I think it's very special and unique. So tell us a little bit about why you and your husband got this started.
My husband was coaching at a local high school that was pretty high needs, and we realized that there was kids going to school every day without their basic needs being met, food, housing, things like that. And so he brought that information back to our small church family at the time and said, I think we can make a difference here. And as we started building those relationships with those kiddos, we realized that 2 of the first girls that we were helping through the high school, were being trafficked themselves.
And you mentioned that was just 2 out of 12.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's a lot.
It's a high number, and one person is too high in my mind.
Absolutely.
In the project's mind.
Absolutely.
So we began to look for resources for them. And I realized that this is not something that someone should be walking through alone. If they've been through terrible trauma like this already, then they need advocates in their life to do to get them to the next step. So that's what we provide as a project: advocacy, resources, and relocation if necessary. And we're happy and proud to say that we have a safe home here that can house kiddos under 18 that are just either at risk to being trafficked or have already been survivors.
And how many kids do you have in your safe home now?
We can have up to 6, but that number fluctuates.
Okay.
And also we serve people who do not live under our Jonah Project roof, but we go to them. So whatever that looks like, making sure that they're safe wherever they decided to reside at the time.
Sure.
We're just still making sure they're getting all the other resources, care, support, appointments, therapies that they need.
And tell me a little bit about why this spoke to you. I think so many people recognize that, the basic needs aren't being met.
Right.
And, so many coaches and teachers, but yet very few act on it. So it's really special. And I think something must have spoken to you and your husband for you to go about thinking, I think we can change this. What was it in that mission that spoke with you?
Well, we like to call the project more of a movement instead of just a program. And so freedom for all means that each one of us should have equal freedom. And so speaking for the kids that were that didn't have a voice in this, and it wasn't their choice that they were tricked.
Sure.
And nobody decides to become a prostitute when they're 5 years old.
Right.
And so we're just fighting terms like child prostitution. They're a victim of trafficking to us. And so we just couldn't put the issue down, and we just want to fight for all kiddos to have complete freedom in their life. And we want to be there for them in this walk.
I love it. And you and I were talking about how as we're seeing kind of our homeless population in Spokane grow, that the two kind of go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
We're seeing more trafficking as our homeless population is increasing.
There's approximately 3,500 homeless kiddos in Spokane, and the numbers are telling us that 1 in 3 kiddos in the first 24 hours are solicited, and 1 in 7 are actually trafficked. So all the risk factors that lead to homelessness are the same ones that make you vulnerable to be a trafficking victim.
And it's just so sad to think 3,500 kids in our own community are going through that.
Yes.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And when you hear every story, it just makes your heart grow bigger and bigger about the issue. And you wouldn't want that for your own children. And so I wouldn't want it for any others either.
And tell us about how kids get placed with you, how kids are introduced to you in the Jonah Project. You mentioned your kind of coordination with schools, so tell us about that.
So we are, with awareness, in our awareness campaign, we're really making sure that the schools know that we're here for them. And social workers, counselors can call us to meet with a kiddo or their family to talk about, is this something that's affecting your kiddo? And then we're there to show up and talk with them about how we can individually help them with whatever's going on, because it is quite the large subject and it looks very different for every victim.
Sure.
And so working together with other agencies, again, through referral processes, we work with Daybreak, which is a great place to meet girls and continue their sobriety and their transition into healthy living.
Bindi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
I think this is a very special and unique story and a message to tell. And I think for so many of us, as we go about our busy daily lives, going through the motions of work and taking kids to school and practices, I don't know that we necessarily think about this all the time, but it's happening here at home, and it's very personal, I think, for all of us. So it's important that we have these discussions and do something about it like you are. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Pulse of Spokane. We've really enjoyed being here at the North Spokane Public Library. Come check out the library this summer. They have so many opportunities for kids and adults. And the library is a lot more than just books. Come here and check it out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on The Pulse.
The Pulse of Spokane is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksMedia.com, which is solely responsible for its content. The Pulse of Spokane is brought to you in part by Homes for You, Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Firefighters Local 29. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or hear this program again on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com.